Now, when it comes to parenting, especially relationships between fathers and daughters and sons and their mothers, it can look weird if you are just a weird person in general. And I think that this is one of those scenarios where I'm just like, ugh, like how even, like what put you in that headspace, sir? So this is how the story goes, sorry. This woman says, my son is in Form 3 and we are very close, or he is very close to me. So when he closed school this term, he came to the kitchen and hugged me like he always does. But his dad was at home that day. Now, his dad is telling me, huyu mtoto ameanza kuwa mjinga. And if I ask him why, because his grades in school are good, he told me, hakuna. But I noticed, according to the way he was talking, it's because my son hugged me. What is wrong with a 17-year-old boy hugging his mother? And again, I go back to, ugh, brother, ugh. Like, imagine something as innocent as a child showing love to the mother in the way that they've been showing love to the mother for years. Because she says, as he always does. So this is common practice in their household. The kid is back from school, family. He will hug the mom in excitement. Hey mom, I'm back, holiday season, whatever. Like, there's nothing wrong with showing affection, in fact, physical affection to your child, and your child showing physical affection to you. But the dad and making this weird insinuation, like, what is happening? It's just like, ew, like, who even thinks that way? Like, how do you look at your child hugging your wife and go like, yeah, that is giving very sexual energy? I'm just like, ew. And to answer your question, baby girl, there is absolutely nothing wrong with showing physical affection to your children. This is actually what we want. We want a generation of children being born and being raised in families that understand love and how to love each other, in order for this to then carry on in their marriages. Because this is a son who is going to grow up and realize that there's nothing wrong with hugging your wife, there's nothing wrong with showing affection to your wife, there's nothing wrong with showing affection to your children. And that is a healed generation. That is what we all strive for. We don't want to come to these situations where even your father telling you they love you is weird. Like, you tell your dad, you've seen the videos, you hear a son telling the dad, I love you, and the dad is just like, wewe washa ujiga, utakunywa shai na mimi. Or something as silly as, I don't know why I went into a Kikuyu accent, because it happens across all tribes, okay? In fact, all races. So I feel like the boomers just have the weird way of living their lives, and this is really sounding like a boomer to me, because boomers always, I don't know, they find it difficult to express affection, and therefore whenever they see it happening with other people, the perception they have is what they've been brought up with, which is children, especially sons and mothers, should not be hugging. Daughters and fathers should not be hugging. There should be no physical affection. And honestly, this is maybe a conversation you probably need to have with him. Just try and understand like where he's coming from, because like I don't understand. Ew, brother. Ugh. There's nothing wrong with hugging your son and your son hugging you.
Yeah, of course you will hug your children until they're old, until you're probably the same age. I see absolutely no problem. So clearly this is a him thing.
Yeah, 100%.
So maybe have a conversation with him and say, first of all, I am very offended. Because I don't feel like you're having enough rage for this conversation, and even the insinuation.
It is so disgusting. An accusation
on your child.
Ew.
So I just don't feel like you have enough rage in this moment. This person has said, mjinga. You know, like he has insulted your child and insinuated something so wicked, and still here you're like, I'm so confused, I don't know what's happening. Girl, you're not mad enough, you're not enraged enough to even advocate for your child and say, hey, you need to stop it right there. These are the things you need to nip in the bud when they happen immediately, so that it doesn't seem like he's being emboldened to kind of have these conversations and take this line of thinking. Sit down with him and say, first of all, I am very insulted that you made that insinuation. Obviously, for you to sexualize a hug, that makes absolutely no sense.
Disgusting.
Number two, I feel like you need to understand that affection does not mean sexualization.
Absolutely.
Affection is not sexual. Intimacy is not necessarily sexual. Me hugging my son after I've not seen him for 1.5 months is not crazy. Of course I've missed my son. And if you are having problems, you need to see somebody about it. And I know, of course, a lot of men are very rigid. A lot of African men are very rigid about going to therapy. But clearly he has very deep issues, and this is stemming from a very deep place, you know. He is associating any form of affection in his household as sexual. And that can be problematic, especially if you have daughters in the house. It becomes one of those, you know, household where you're told, endo kavae t-shirt, kuna wanaume around. Endo kavae, you know, dress, men are... You just don't want your house to have space for these types of conversations. So number one, you need to nip it in the bud. And I hope you did immediately. Calm down. And you need to have these conversations openly. Isikae ni kama yola sengenyai
It's a
one
taboo
person.
conversation. It's
You
not.
need to have this conversation very openly in front of your children so that they also know where you lie when it comes to these things, where your boundaries are. Hey, y'all are going through it. That's a difficult place to be at. But